The truth is that so much which is called conspiracy theory is actually conspiracy fact. Not all of it, but enough to show that the people that run the world are not the ones the news media tell us do.
Yeah. In other words, you're saying that Stalin, Hitler, Roosevelt happen to be the kind of people who really believe that if their ideas could rule the world, then everything would be all right, and they were chosen, at least in part for that reason, so that they could embody these opposanes that would want to go to war, as opposed to a level of manipulation at which this whole thing was simply the creation of chaos out of which to bring a new order which would be more profitable and controlling.
Yeah, I think people like Stalin, definitely Roosevelt, and I would say definitely, well, definitely Stalin and definitely Churchill, they knew the scam. There was an American guy called Tyler Kent who worked at the American Embassy in the run-up to the Second World War. And of course, John F. Kennedy's father, Joseph Kennedy, was ambassador at the time. And Tyler Kent was a decoding officer doing messages between Britain and America. And he sent and decoded messages between Roosevelt and Churchill before the war, in which they were quite obviously organizing the war. And they knew exactly what was coming up. And he tried to make this public through a conservative politician, and with the help of Joseph Kennedy, he was arrested and put into prison for the entire duration of the war. So he couldn't say anything else. So was the politician, incidentally. The British politician was also put into jail for the duration of the war under something called Regulation 18B, which was brought into law just before the Second World War in Britain under the excuse of meeting IRA terrorism. In fact, they used the terrorism as the excuse to bring in the law so that they could arrest without trial and put into prison for a number of years without conviction anyone that they suspected was trying to undermine the state. No, trying to undermine the scam that was creating the war. And I think the Second World War, if you look at it from the human point of view, is a classic example of what we're talking about here. How many people in Britain, in America, in Australia, in France, in all these countries, Germany included, once they realized what war was about, actually wanted to take part in that war? Hardly any of them. They want to be at home with their families, having seen their kids grow up. So why did they? A war that created 55 million casualties. Because the elite in this country that never see a bullet fired in anger, they manipulated this population, mind control, to believe they had to fight this population. This population was manipulated by their little hierarchy to believe they had to fight this population. These two hierarchies go into one hierarchy that's pulling the strings of both sides and playing them off against each other, creating a massive problem-reaction-solution scenario that led to these global institutions that followed.
One of the things that strikes me, it's so clear when you are in one of these situations, politically or socially, for example, the LA riots, all right, or you're in a situation where war is imminent and you feel that somebody's going to overrun your country. In a sense, well, you feel that you no longer have a choice. And so it's brilliant in a way. I mean, it works, the manipulation. Let's put these people into a situation in which they feel they have no choice. They must oppose, they must attack, they must create chaos, they must go to war because they feel their very survival is threatened.
Sure.
So it's a chess game from the top, but when you're in it, how else are you going to react?
Well, this is where the whole basis of courage comes from. And I guess we're looking at another very clear example of the way the sheep police each other. What happened to the conscientious objectors during the war who said, I'm sorry, I'm having no part of this? They were put in prison, and no one, or virtually no one, shouted a word of response to why is this man going into prison for his convictions. They were saying, coward, coward, weren't they? All the people that were manipulated to fight the war, when these people were exhibiting the ultimate courage. And in the end, that's all you can do. You can follow the courage of your convictions. And if we can get information out about the way the scam works, and if we can get people to open their minds and see they're not ordinary, because there's no such thing in creation, we get more and more people to stand up and say no. In the end, if you look at a pyramid, which is the structure of control. At the top of the pyramid, you've got the few people that pull in the strings. But what they do is, in the way that you're talking about, they try to either keep people completely in the dark of what's going on and how they're playing a part in it unknowingly, but they also try to put people into positions where they think they have no choice.
Tell her I'm sorry for leaving, sorry for going on the attack. Tell her I'm sorry for believing that I was ever coming back. I am the invader for sure, and I've come looking for a fight. No sense in the madness of war, 'cause two wrongs don't make a right. 'Cause two wrongs don't make a right. When have you ever known to threaten as a good way of making friends? One day I'm sure we'll be regretting whether the means was worth the ends. I am the invader for sure, and I've come looking for a fight. No sense in the madness of war, 'cause two wrongs don't make a right. 'Cause two wrongs don't make a right. 'Cause two wrongs don't make a right. Right, right.
I don't think I hate anything, but I guess my pet irritation is those that put their head in the sand in a gigantic bucket and think if I stay here, then everything will be fine and I won't have to face the consequences. But I have to tell them their head's in the sand, their bum's still in the air, and the tornado's coming. And if they want to lift their head, they could avoid it. If they stay there, it's going to hit them. I'm sorry that I'm struggling to find words, because words fail me. The idea that governments, with their record, have the interests of the people at heart. Anyone who believes that is basically a lost cause in terms of understanding what's happening in the world. And I'll just leave them to get on with it. And when the knock comes on their door, don't call me.
Rise like lions after slumber, in unvanquishable number. Shake your chains to earth like dew, which in sleep has fallen on you. Ye are many, they are few. When we figure that out, there goes their way of life.